Hi, I'm Terry Sanchez. I'm the author of the Aspiring Flutists Practice Companion and also the Aspiring Flutists Sound and Scale book, both of which you can find at Carolyn Nussbaum Music Company, and I will put those links down below. This video is about my top 10 double tonguing tips. These tips are going to help you tongue so much faster than you thought you could, with less stress and less worry about doing it perfectly, because really there is no perfect way to double tongue. There's only a way for you that helps you tongue with ease and flow and hopefully mastery after you practice. So tip number one, momentum and flow are everything. There is a phrase that I like to use, and I hope that you will start to use with every single flute practicing topic that you tackle, and that is to find the whoosh. As flutists with this magical instrument here, when we practice, we always have to find the whoosh so that we can do a magic carpet ride on this airstream that just helps us to fly and sing and soar. So as I tell you the other 9 tips, I'm going to keep coming back to momentum and flow and telling you to find the whoosh in everything that you do when you practice double tonguing. Tip number 2 has to do with an epiphany that I had when I was in the 7th grade. So there I was in band, and I was in awe of the snare drum players. I thought the snare drummers must be the best musicians in the world. I had no earthly idea how they were making their sticks move so fast. I thought every little sound that I heard from a snare drummer was something they were creating sort of from scratch. Imagine my surprise when I realized that so much of it, of course it's all in the wrist, but so much of it is the bounce, the ricochet, that ripple effect from the initial bounces that creates that super fast sound that a snare drummer can have. So when you're double tonguing, no matter what syllables you use, and no matter what tempo you're playing at, I want you to remember that you do not need to create from scratch every single syllable. That makes your tongue super tired, and it makes your brain super tired. There is a bounce that goes with the momentum and flow. So as you're finding the whoosh, realize the bounce and the ricochet is a goal constantly. Number 3, when you are choosing your vowels that you use inside your mouth for double tonguing, it's very important to do your best to get a singular vowel that is up front in your mouth versus a diphthong. So I teach flute in Texas, and I'm sure Texas flute teachers can identify with me here. I have taught so many Texas high school band sectionals where I'm teaching everyone to double tongue, and I'll say, okay, everybody, repeat after me, tuku kutuku, and they reply back enthusiastically, tuku tu kutuku, with this kind of Texan accent, not realizing that they're using diphthongs in their tonguing syllables. So what a diphthong is a vowel that has 2 parts to it. So you might think that the word ice has a singular vowel at the beginning based on the way it looks when you read it, but if you think about the vowel in slow motion, ah plus E equals I, you see that it's a diphthong, a vowel sound with 2 parts. Whenever you use a vowel that has 2 parts to it, that's going to slow down your tonguing. So whether you use oo, e, or if you can do the French vowel, eu, anything that you use, you want to get it up front in your mouth and singular. Keep checking yourself by saying your double tonguing syllables out loud. And remember, as you're finding your singular vowel that's up front in your mouth, keep finding the whoosh and remembering that it's a bounce, a ricochet. You don't have to create each new syllable from scratch and make your tongue all tired and stressed. Tip number 4. The syllables that you use when you double tongue do and don't matter. On the one hand, They do matter. Of course they matter, because you want to be comfortable. You want to have a streamlined consonant and vowel combination that sounds good and feels good to you. I like to start with a tu-ku-tu. A lot of flute teachers like to start with a ti-ki-ti. And honestly, I'm usually a fan of the ta-ka-ta. Some people are wild about the EU, the French vowel that I mentioned when I was talking about singular vowels versus diphthongs. But no matter what vowel or consonant you use, it doesn't really have to be the perfect one so much as a combination that makes you feel good and allows you access to, 1, the momentum and flow, 2, the bounce or the ricochet of double tonguing, and 3, includes a singular vowel that doesn't sort of get stuck in your mouth because you're getting slowed down by having to pronounce the 2 parts of the accidental diphthong that you probably didn't mean to do. Tip number 5. Clear double tonguing on the flute sounds like clear speech. It feels like clear speech. It flows like clear speech. I was fortunate enough to meet a speech pathologist, and she was kind enough to compile some lists of T words and K words so that my students could practice speaking the types of syllables that would help them become better tonguers on the flute. And I have the packet here. It's available for you in the links below, so you can print it out and practice with these same exact words. I'm going to read down the first column: teeth, toast, teacher, toad, turkey, tool, toe, towel, team, tall, tub, top, time. And as I read all of those T words, I was noticing the crisp, clean feel of the T sound in my mouth. For tips number 6 and 7, I'm going to go back to that list and show you some ways you can get even more benefit from them. But before we do that, I want you to try an exercise. Imagine 4 eighth notes, 8 16th notes, and 16 30-second notes. Taco, taco, tiki, 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 taka, 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 ta. I'll say it again. Remember, 4 eighths, 8 16ths, 16 30-seconds. Taco, taco, tiki, 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 taka, 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 ta. I really like changing up the vowels because it encourages that flow and that bounce. I'm going to play that pattern just on a B flat. I actually was changing up those syllables and really thinking of the words that we just said together. I always want to feel like I'm doing this improv session. I'm just feeling the groove when I double tongue. I never want to feel stuck or frozen. So one more time, just for review. Taco, taco, tiki, 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 taka, 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 ta. And we're doing 4 eighths, 8 16ths, and 16 30-seconds. I love how my tongue feels free and loose when I do that and doesn't get jammed up or stuck in my throat. I've started calling that playing backwards when your tongue goes too far back in your mouth. I'll also put a link below to an awesome video that I did with Claire Johnson about some tongue stretches. They might be a great thing to do before you start practicing double tonguing. Tip number 6, if you want to double tongue cleanly, you might have to tongue breathy and messy. Breathy and messy ironically equals cleaner. So I'm going to go back to my list of T words and I'm going to make them breathier and messier. See if you can hear what I'm talking about. Teeth, toast, teacher, toad, turkey, tool, toe, towel, team, tall, tub, top, time. Not only did I make them breathier and messier with this kind of ha, ha, ha behind each of the words, but I also had more of a sense of forward motion. I'm going to read them one more time and be even more cognizant of flowing forward, enjoying that bounce, that ricochet. Teeth, toast, teacher, toad, turkey, tool, toe, towel, team, tall, tub, top, time. Ta, 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 ta. If you go back to the exercise that we've tried, taco, taco, tiki, 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 taka, 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 ta, you'll start to feel that flow that I've been talking about. And every single time I do this on my flute, I'll play it on a C natural now, just kind of going up a B flat major scale. I'm always going to be finding that whoosh and remembering that the snare drum player sounds so cool because it bounces. Tip number 7. Core support is super important, but it may be more natural than you're thinking. There are so many ways to access core support. Of course, you could do some hardcore things like planks and sit-ups and push-ups and wall sits. You could also do some easier fun things like sitting on an exercise ball, sitting on a piano bench with your legs sticking straight out, practicing on your tiptoes, standing on your left leg, standing on your right leg. There's so many different ways to activate your core muscles, and there's no real perfect way to do it. There's just a lot of right ways to do it. But I want you to realize that core support might be a little more natural than you think. And when you say taco, taco, tiki, 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 taka, 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 ta, hopefully you're feeling that bounce that kicks in just as easily as if you were to hiss like a snake. Your tummy automatically kicks in and helps that bounce, that flow, that ricochet. Tip number 8, mess around with hot air and cold air as you try your double tonguing exercises. Now, if you blow on your hand with your mouth open and the air feeling like it's coming from your throat, think of that as hot air. Then, if you put your finger in the valley on your chin and blow on your finger, think of that as cold air. Sometimes with different pitches and different rhythms, more cold air can get that bounce and that flow going. Sometimes in different musical situations with double tonguing, more hot air can help with your support, help with that bounce and flow. Really feel free to experiment with how much cold air, how much hot air, and keep in mind that this is largely imagination based because the temperature of the air is determined by more than just you deciding to blow more up front or to think about your throat more. But hot and cold air is kind of an easy cheat to get you doing some different shapes in your mouth and free you up to find some more comfortable, easy, and flowing double tonguing sounds. Tip number 9. Model your double tonguing after your single tonguing. So coming back to our just super simple exercise, and I'll go ahead and play it on a D natural because we've been climbing up the B flat major scale. I'm going to single tongue first. And I'm going to notice my attitude, my flow, the way my tongue feels, the way my notes sound. If you go back and forth from the single tonguing version to the double tonguing version, you'll start to notice that the single tonguing comfort that you may feel rubs off on the double tonguing version. Conversely, since it's going to be easier to double tongue the 30-second notes, you'll start to notice that your double tonguing starts helping your single tonguing. I am such a big fan of back and forth, alternating the model, the more comfy version of something, with the more challenging version until both versions resemble each other. Tip number 10, attitude is everything. If you are determined to be a double tonguing superstar, then you will be. You can start at a slow tempo and work your way up, monitoring your attitude, your flow, that bounce, your singular vowel, your syllables feeling free and flexible and comfy to you, feeling like you're speaking clearly through your flute, reminding yourself to be breathy and messy, because breathy and messy often equals cleaner double tonguing. It's so ironic, but it's so true. Keeping that core support naturally activated, alive, energized, and vibrant, messing around with different proportions of hot versus cold air, going back and forth from single tonguing to double tonguing. If you keep an amazing attitude, never getting frustrated with yourself for accidentally getting stuck or having to go back to a slower tempo and then rework it up, if you just have fun with the whole process, your tongue will thank you for it. really, really important thing to realize. If any part of your body or mind is frozen, tense, stressed, freaking out, jumbled, busy brain, if any part of your body or mind is a mess, then your tongue is going to be a mess too. I tend to think of flutists like marionette puppets. If you can just imagine a flutist with strings coming out of her shoulders and out of her wrists and making her head move. When her shoulders go up, the back of her tongue goes up. When her shoulders relax down, the back of her tongue relaxes down. Marionette puppets have an easy, free movement when the puppeteer is easy and free. And your body and your mind act like the puppeteers for your tongue. So remember, frozen body, frozen mind, frozen tongue. Easy and free body and mind equals easy and free tongue. So I hope you enjoyed my top 10 double tonguing tips, and I am so excited to follow up with you in the comments below. Please ask me questions, mention things that you love to do for double tonguing that maybe I didn't include in this video. Tell me things you'd like to see in future videos. I really want to get some awesome conversations started about how easy and freeing and joyful and fun practicing the flute can be. Remember, attitude is everything. I would highly recommend adding the Katy Perry roar exercise that I've linked below into your daily practice routine. If you can get that, I'm a badass, I can double tongue as fast as I want to just because I want to attitude programmed into your flute playing, you will be amazed at how double tonguing doesn't have to feel scary anymore, and how your tongue will just be loose and flowing and more like when you're talking, simply because your attitude is setting you up for success.